Welcome in, guys. Welcome into Rover Sports. It is the week before the Final Four. We are here in April. We got Bruce the Sports Doc here. We are in the city of the best baseball team in the world. The Philadelphia Phillies are 3-0 and comfortably swept the Atlanta Braves. It's a great time for sports. Bryce Harper goes back to Washington tonight. And Bruce, I guess we are going to talk about March Madness a lot. But I first want to ask you about Bryce Harper and about this city and about this Phillies lineup right now, Bruce.
Well, I can tell you I went to exactly no baseball games last year. I want to welcome everybody into Rover Sports. We're also simulcasting on my Facebook page. And this is unique because we actually have a call-in format. Everybody asks us to do a call-in format. Do me a favor, Al, just a little bit down. I'm clipping just a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all better. Here, a little clicking. But we actually have a call-in number that you can see. And we've got everybody. We've got Bob Yermish, a great golfer from Rolling Green, Ed Brittingham, all of you guys. Call-in number is 484-257-9592. There's a lot of stuff. We're doing a watch party. We're doing a Phillies watch party now. And we're also talking about March Madness.
Yep.
But your original question, I know I've been all over the board.
You have been.
So I started out by saying I went to no baseball games. I've actually been to one so far. I can tell you Bryce Harper has changed everything about the city of Philadelphia. And to just amplify that, everything looks a little bit brighter. The food tastes a little bit better. The air is a little cleaner. We have Bryce Harper. And I'm always proud to be a Philadelphian. But I'm even more proud because a guy is giving 13 years of his life, his best years, to the Philadelphia Phillies. And this team looks amazing. And I can feel the same feeling. And I'm not like Dr. Steve Lewis. I'm not a diehard baseball guy. But I remember what it felt like in 1993. Yeah. I remember what it was like to drive around and see nothing but Phillies gear. I remember 2008. And I think the last thing I can remember is 2011. And we've been in kind of an 8-year doldrum. And it just feels great. Al, you're a baseball guy. Al Zafiri's here. This is your studio, RDR Studios, in the beautiful town of Ridley Park, Pennsylvania.
This is a beautiful town. This is one of the prettiest cities in the country. It reminds me of Dodge City, Kansas out here. You know, like because you have all the shops. It's like an old Western town if you go to the studio. But, Al, you're a diehard baseball fan. I mean, talk about how exciting this is right now.
It can be put simply by saying Phillies baseball is back in the city of Philadelphia. It is good to be a Phillies baseball fan again because let me tell you something. What Philly baseball has always meant to most people, and especially me, is when you see spring training, you're kind of still in the midst of winter. You get that warm feeling, and then when the baseball starts, it's still going to be a little cold. This was a very nice home opener, though, because usually – and especially the last 8 years or so, like Doc was talking about, it has been a very cold and rainy home opener. This year, that was the complete and utter opposite. It was sunny. It was beautiful. You could have wore a little. The sleeve monster could have attacked you. You could have put a little tan on if you wanted to. It was a good day for baseball.
I was actually too hot. Yeah. I brought a lot of layers. Again, we sat up in the upper deck at 410.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, you were there
and
Saturday.
Xfinity was just a slop of drunken people after the game.
But I'm saying on Thursday, when we were there for opening day, we kind of sat in the back. 410 is the last row in the stadium. But, you know, it shows every seat is great. It was almost like having a sun reflector. It was hot out there.
You've been to the bank a lot, Al. I like sitting in the back, in the high nosebleeds, because then you could walk up like even 5 rows, and you could literally spread your feet out.
Either I want to be right back behind the dugout, or I want to be in the 200 level, because it's just a little bit more freedom up there, kind of like you said. But you can also see a bird's eye view of almost anything. But I think right now, as you can tell, right field is a hell of a place to
Bryce Harper.
Is the hell of a place to be right
That's
now.
Where we were. Was it 210?
And tonight,
was it 410? What was our number?
I think it was 210. And tonight, there's going to be a lot of Phillies fans. I hear they're bussing people up to protect Bryce Harper. And I'm sure that in Washington D.C. there is good security there, so I don't want anything getting thrown at him. I don't want any plastic containers getting thrown at him.
Let me put this out there, and everybody's all worried about the Nationals booing Bryce. They should boo their own owners. They should boo their management company. They didn't. They gave him they were going to give him $300 330 plus, something like that. But it was going to be deferred until like 2070 or something like that. It was like some ridiculous number, you know.
So it really wasn't an offer. It was kind of
Bobby,
a fake.
It was Bobby Bonilla.
It was a fake offer.
Yeah.
Bonilla is like 50. They have to will him in to get his paycheck.
True stat. Bobby Bonilla will still be getting paid after Bryce Harper's 13 years in Philly. True stat. Let that one
That's a
settle
great
in.
deal. Imagine,
That's
take that,
tremendous.
New York Mets fan.
Four
Take
more
that, New
paychecks
Yorkers.
after 4 more years of paychecks after that.
That's tremendous.
But my point is they are fair weather fans. Let's be honest. National fans are not Philly fans. They're not Mets fans. They're not Braves fans. They are different. They are borderline close to a Miami fan. They are fair weather fans. They are there when they want to be, when the team's doing good. And how many times have you? They've always called it Citizens Bank South. When the Phillies were hot or even
it's
okay.
Just like FedEx Field.
It's Citizens Bank South.
Didn't they
would
lose
take
their
over.
franchise for a while with the Senators and the Nationals? Did they have a baseball team?
They were
like
the
in
Expos originally.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they are so fair weather. They just got good like a couple years ago.
Listen, you're gonna get a couple idiots out there who will boo Bryce Harper. Once again, you can't blame a guy for taking $330 million. That's number one.
He was never expected to go back there. It was either San Fran or Philly.
They didn't give they didn't put all of it on the table. They were ready to move on. They sound like they were ready to move on from the get-go. The point is that they lost their key guy. They lost literally, arguably the biggest star in baseball. I wouldn't say the best player in baseball, but the biggest star because he's out there. It looks like we got a phone call already. So
my goodness.
Let's take it.
I haven't even read the number. Go ahead. You are on with Rover Sports.
Thanks, guys, for taking my call. I just wanted to ask you guys a question. What kind of production do you think you need to get out of Bryce Harper to live up to that contract? Because, I mean, that's a major deal for a long time. So, I mean, he's got to live up to a lot, I think. I mean, honestly, with getting out, I don't know the exact details, like $200 million something. I mean,
so I want to just repeat. I want to repeat the question because we have some secondary outlets covering the show. That's a wonderful question.
It's a great question.
The question is, what kind of production do you need out of Bryce Harper? And the question really begs the question: what do you want on the short term, and what do you want on the long term, gentlemen?
So you know what I want as a baseball as kind of a casual baseball fan. What I want out of Bryce Harper is each season I want Bryce Harper to hit at least 25 home runs. That's my baseline for Bryce Harper. The next thing I want out of Harper is I want him to continue to be very good in the locker room. Like he's high-fiving his teammates. So I want him also, I pray for his health. So that's not only up to Harper, it's up to God, to the baseball gods. I pray that he plays a lot of games, and I pray that Harper I just said I prayed at Harper. I don't want him to strike out. I want him to be very patient at the plate. I liked how the Phillies were patient against that lefty reliever of the Braves. I don't care so much about Bryce's individual numbers. I want him to be a great spokesperson of the Phillies, and I want this team to be a playoff team. So 25 home runs, 80 RBIs. I want him, when you look at baseball, I want him to be a top 20 player in Major League Baseball, a top 20 batter. I want him to bat 260, 270, 35 home runs, 90 RBIs for the next 10 years. And the thing about Bryce Harper is I want him to keep his swagger. I want him to not be liked at all by any other fan base. I want him to be really polarizing, because I like watching polarizing athletes like Mitch Williams. I like Jason Worth. For me, I'm not the biggest baseball guy, Bruce, so I just want the Phillies to win, and I want him to be very polarizing, entertaining, and a great spokesperson of Philadelphia. But what are your numbers, Bruce?
Well, what I'm going to do
think?
is I'm going to kick it over to Alan. I'm going to come in. I'm going to bat cleanup as far as the answer to that question.
Oh, you're a little nervous.
I don't know.
I'm not nervous. I just want to get Alan involved.
And what is the caller's name, may I ask?
Nicholas.
Nicholas.
That was a good answer.
Thanks for calling in to
Rover
Sports.
Take my call. I love your show.
Nicholas. Are you a Facebook guy or a YouTube guy?
But that's a huge contract. You know what I mean? So you
sound like a Pittsburgh. Are you a Pittsburghian?
Like you said, you got to make some noise, man.
I'm calling it.
Kind of money.
Are you from Pittsburgh originally?
Yes, sir.
I got that right. That's good. Our family is too, so I recognize the accent.
Wait, so Nicholas, are you from Facebook or YouTube?
Facebook. I have a little channel called Ventura Variety on Twitter. It's nothing special, but
well, you just got to 3 million listeners. Great to have you, Nicholas.
I know you, Nicholas.
Well, let me put it to you this way: you're talking about a game where batting 35% is actually really, really good. So we have to keep everything in perspective here. You're going to have in baseball over 13 years, especially. You're going to have your ups and you're going to have your downs. What I expect out of Harper is a couple things: clutch. And that's a big thing you can't buy, and that's something you can't learn. You either are or you aren't. Be clutch when the time needs it. Number 2 is to keep what he's already done, even over this small sample size of 3 games, with the electricity, because you walk Harper to get to Hoskins, and you see the damage that can cause. So that is something that he brings in that makes. Remember, our 6, 7, 8 was our 1, 2, 3 last year.
It's amazing.
And Real Muto is a big guy. Just to see that, it reminds me of Murderer's Row, because the fact is, what did Harper do? He got an intentional walk, but he scored a run. And you got to get to Hoskins, and then you got Real Muto. At the very end, you got Franco at 8, which has really worked out well with 2 home runs.
Who's after Real Muto?
Herrera.
Oh, Herrera's a good player.
Right there.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous that Franco, he would never be the 8th hitter. He would be the cleanup guy on the majority of major league teams. I am going to address your point, Al. I watched Nationals. I am a casual baseball fan. I watched him in the playoffs versus the Cubs. Bryce Harper, he wasn't that clutch in the playoffs for the Nationals. The Nationals could never get over the hump with Bryce Harper.
But is that Bryce Harper or is that a team thing? Because unfortunately in baseball, you can't get away with just having one superstar and everybody else not following the suit, because I just feel like the Nationals, from an organizational standpoint, just never had the ability to be a World Series team.
They had a talented
Even though they
roster.
had talent.
They had talent.
But I don't know if they ever had the ability to be.
And I remember that game. Do you remember that game in July a couple years ago? Bryce hit a home run to center field off of the wall. Bryce Harper, Bruce, you remember that walk-off home run he hit out to center.
Yeah, you have another caller here.
You have another caller.
Yes.
What's up? You're welcome to Rover Sports.
Hey, how you doing, Rover?
Is this Bobby?
You know who this is, Rover?
Who is this, Bobby Woodruff?
Yes, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Bobby. It's great to hear you,
Who's
Bobby.
the guy in the left-hand top corner? He looks very familiar. Who's that guy?
It might be, honestly, my father, Bruce the Sports Doc.
Bruce the Sports Doc.
We're
right
actually
here.
Related, Bobby.
You kill him, we chill him.
Oh, you're related to that guy on the left?
I am related.
Like a baseball announcer, though.
Oh, didn't hear that.
What are the categories of a baseball announcer?
Do I sound like Dickie Vitale? You like Dickie Vitale? A real bonus, baby.
That's Dickie Vitale right there?
That's him.
Yep. That's Dick Vitale.
Really?
So.
All right. He's awesome.
So,
thank you. I'm glad you like it.
So, Bobby, how are you, man? What do you want to talk about today?
Great. I love when Duke got kicked out of the tournament. I was so happy when they lost. I don't like Duke at all. They are not. I think Coach K looks like he's always constipated on the sideline.
So just to repeat that for my Facebook page.
I agree.
This is it Bobby? Is that his name?
Yeah, Bobby Woodruff.
So Bobby Woodruff is calling in.
But I used to live in New York, though.
So Bobby's saying that, like so many people, he was so thrilled to see Duke bow out of the tournament. I think that's a prevailing sentiment.
Bobby, the greatest thing about Duke losing was this year, ESPN and everybody was all over Duke. It was like there were no other programs in college basketball with Zion Williamson. And Bobby, that UCF game, I mean, did you watch the Central Florida Duke game when UCF missed that ball on the rim?
By 1 point, yes.
I was in depression I was angry and bitter for a good 2 hours and I'm so happy.
I took Virginia Tech to beat them in the third round. They lost that game too.
And Duke has been flirting with disaster. Duke has been flirting with disaster for so long, and that arena in Washington, Bobby. Me and Bruce the Sports Doc, we actually got to go to that game in Washington. It's very close to Philadelphia. It was a great experience. Oh,
that's good.
And
that was so close. We had Ahmed Hill basically went up there, and he's one of our favorite players. And he had the ball. he just had an easy, put back, and they would have won the game, and he hit the ribbon. That's something that guy will never live that down.
Wow.
Tech was so close, Bobby, and this Duke team. Everybody acted like this Duke team was an invincible Duke team, like this Duke team was one of the best teams ever. I mean, this Duke team couldn't really shoot the ball. They didn't play great defense. They don't have great depth on their team. And it was about time that they lost. And I'm so happy that these guys that only play 1 year of basketball, they lose to Michigan State, a team of 4-year guys, a team of guys that are going to be playing overseas. I love Tom Izzo. How happy were you to see Michigan State win that game, Bobby?
I was so happy, too. I was excited. I like Dick Vitale, too. He's a great guy.
He's good.
Dickie V. I think Dickie V needs to be announcing more games. And Bobby, we only have a quick hour. I want to thank you so much for calling in and greeting me.
I just want to see if he remembers being on the Bill Cosby show. Do you remember being on the Bill Cosby show?
Dick Vitale?
I actually do remember that. And that was
the only person who remembers anything about Bill Cosby.
The problem with Cosby is
he wasn't a woman, though.
You know what happened at the end of the second part of the show? I got roofied and I don't remember it.
Well, you're great, though. I like when you come on there. You're a very exciting guy. And who's the guy on the bottom? I'm leaving him out. He's the guy.
Sports Doc is unbelievable.
People can't hear the caller because he's pretty funny.
No,
Bobby, thanks for calling in.
Woodruff is the best. Bobby, thank you.
Who's the guy on the bottom, though?
That's Big Al.
The handsome one.
That's Big Al. And Bobby, you live in near Ben and Jerry's, don't you?
Thank you.
Okay.
Are you a big?
I don't want to leave you out.
Are you a big wrestling guy?
You're excellent too, as usual.
Bobby, that guy.
Nice talking to you, Dick Vitale.
Thank you.
Talking to you.
Thanks,
You're
Bobby.
A great guy.
Call in some other time.
We got another caller.
Got another call.
Another
Tee it
one.
up.
Oh my God!
It's spring golf season. Tee it up.
Al, let's do 15 minutes of rapid fire calls. Call in for 15 minutes.
You got to repeat the calls for everybody.
What's up, caller? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Go ahead.
As Giants fans, can't get copyrighted by Chris, the entertainer, but, it's Chris Senior here, calling in, for a little bit, gonna ask a couple questions, but,
Yes, sir. Yeah. Chris Senior, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Chris Senior, yeah.
NFC East caller here.
No, this is
football.
This is a California kid. I've known Chris for a while. He's one of my good friends on YouTube. He's a big LA Chargers fan.
So he's an LA Chargers
fan.
He's
a big fan of of Chris the Entertainer
for last year.
Is he a nouveau Chargers fan, or has he always been a Chargers fan?
Yeah, I've always been a Chargers fan.
That's cool. I like that. I respect that.
No, he's a San Diegoan, Chris Senior.
Okay.
I would say that I'm a Southern California fan. That's
your question?
Southern California. No LA, no San Diego, just Southern California.
Chris,
I don't say LA.
tee up a question.
What you got for us, Chris?
What do you have tonight?
I'm not breaking up there, by the way.
No, you're breaking up.
I'm breaking up.
You have a question for us, Chris?
Yeah, I have a question. What's it called? You know how I think ESPN reported it or something like that, but they're saying the AFF is gonna, they're gonna suspend their operations and everything. Now, for all future leagues, do you think they're gonna, like the XFL, do you think you're gonna come down like this again, like they're gonna go like 8 weeks in and then they're gonna just shut down? Or do you think like the XFL has a chance to grow or something like that and become like a second league behind the NFL?
That's a great question, Spencer.
Great question,
I know you've
Chris.
Spencer's done a recent live stream on that. Why don't you attack that question about the what's it called, AAF?
Yes.
Yeah, the AAF. So the AAF is dead. It has no money. The guy, Charlie Ebersol, is probably full of crap. I mean, did you ever see what that guy looks like? He's wearing like freaking sneakers, and he acts like he's so cool, and he has everything figured out. He got this billionaire from the Carolina Hurricanes hockey team. They have hockey in North Carolina, apparently. And he put in a lot of money, Tom London, to this league. And basically this league, I mean, the ratings are not terrible, but they can't afford to pay all these players. And the CBS TV contract is a really expensive contract. So I feel bad for these guys that want to get back in the NFL. The thing that should happen with the AAF is they should play the games, but there should be no TV contract. So you could
that's where they make their money, though.
No TV? How will people see the game? You mean just
you
home
can
sales?
Stream it on Facebook, honestly.
Yeah,
stream it
the problem
really
is that's where these sports outlets make their money is these big giant, I mean advertising of course, but these big TV contracts. The problem with the AAF is it was mismanaged from the get-go. If you're out, what's it, week 4 now? If you're out now already, that means you did not have enough money
to start it.
You thought you were going to be making money hand over fist from the get-go, or it was just mismanaged. It's a shame. I actually enjoyed the AAF. I watched a couple games. It was nice to have a little football during the off season.
Yeah.
There's some home names that you heard of before. I think it had a chance because I think the one thing I think NFL is missing is quote unquote a minor league. Because there is some guys out there who I feel could have had a better career or a career if they had a chance to be more seasoned, more chance to get out there and play more football.
Like some of the cornerbacks. I know Josh Huff is in this league.
Well, not him, but other than that, I'm just kidding.
Like
my point is
Richardson.
There's a lot of guys out there who could have, if they played a little bit more, had a little bit more action, they would have been able to. They would have made a different story. And why not have a place you could draw more people from?
Because when you're in a practice squad, you're buried on the practice squad.
I think the one thing the AAF didn't do right was they should have went to the NFL before it started and worked something out with them.
You mean so that the third stringers can go to the AAF?
Just a couple different things like that.
I think there's an insurance. I mean, not to go off on too much of a transit. By the way, Coach Dash is trying to call in.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll take his call after this. But like I said,
and then I think Coach will be the last call because then we got to get to a March Madness.
Yeah. My point is, it was mismanaged. I don't think it was set up right from the get-go, and it's a damn shame because I think it could have been something. To answer your question, could the XFL be what the AAF wanted to be? Possibly. Hopefully they learn from the AAF's mistakes.
Go ahead, Bruce.
So,
what do you think?
So again,
no, but Chris, I'm mad we're not going to see Johnny Football in the A. I'm a little sad about the AAF, but there wasn't that many marketable great players in the AAF anyway.
I think that one of the big sticking points recently is that there's liability issues for guys that are on like a practice squad. If they got hurt in the AAF, they wouldn't have insurance coverage if they got hurt. So it sounds like a technicality. It's kind of boring, but that's enough to cause this league to just fold. And I think that'll be the last straw for that.
And Senor, thanks so much. Hold it down in the chat for me, my friend. And thanks so much for giving me a call.
Keep it up, Rover, okay?
I love you,
all see the hard work.
Sorry about that. We have another caller on the line here. You want to?
Josh.
Hey, Josh, how you doing, bud?
Senor's the best.
Dr. Josh Stacy.
I want to give a shout out to Senor. Go ahead, Coach.
Coach, welcome to the Rover Sports. You've got a big promo. We're going to have a major league Whopper guest tomorrow. And tell us about your head coach of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. He'll be calling into our ESPN show tomorrow. And also, we obviously want to talk a lot of March Madness. It's funny, that's all we really haven't talked about. We've talked baseball, football, even minor league football. But thanks for calling in.
Doc, it's special. I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to obviously work with you guys, and excited about listening to today's show and I've got the whole background on the AAF now. I know what's going on. So I'm enthused about that. But Josh Pastner from Georgia Tech will call in. Josh is coach. I worked with him at Memphis. His first staff was with Glenn Cyprian, who's the assistant coach at Texas Tech, who, as you guys know, one of the 4 teams in the Final Four. Coach Sip's a tremendous person, an incredible coach. We've had him on our show before when he was with the Memphis Grizzlies, right before the draft. And then obviously being in the ACC, he coached against Coach Bennett's team, the Virginia. They lost by 30 against UVA this year. They had a tough year at Georgia Tech. They're looking to bounce back. But he's excited to talk about DeAndre Hunter, who's a Philadelphia kid who's on UVA, he looks like he's playing himself into the lottery. He's had a phenomenal run in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. It's exciting. He'll be there. First of all, I think this Final Four is incredible. It really is. I think it's something that no one predicted. We live in an era of the one-and-done era, Spence, and there's only one freshman that's starting amongst all 4 teams. It's incredible, Doc. What's your thoughts?
Well, I agree, too. You really have 4 really exciting teams. You've got some contrasting styles. You've got Tony Bennett, We watched his press conference yesterday. He's a deeply religious guy. You got Bruce Pearl, who I think is, some people find him abrasive. Other people find him endearing. And Tom Izzo, it's funny. He kind of ran into this little controversy with this guy, Henry. So there's just little sub-stories and nice subplots. Spence, give us some subplots for the Final Four.
Well, Coach, I know that they had that guy, Ralph Sampson, at Virginia, but Virginia I don't think has ever won a championship, correct? Never, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think they have, Spencer, and I don't think Ralph Sampson actually won a championship either. He's just special. First of all, Coach Bennett, I've known his staff. I've known some of his former staff coaches that have gone on to become head coaches, like Ron Sanchez, who's at UNC Charlotte, and Richie McKay, who's now at Liberty University. The staff and the culture there, they just love. It's very religious. It's not over the top religious, but they talk about they have strong family values, which is incredible. Which is kind of funny because then you have Auburn, who they've been in the news for other reasons this year. That they kind of shy away from put a black eye on college basketball and athletics. So it's like the good versus evil kind of comparison. But I mean, I tip my cap off to Bruce Pearl and that entire team because that team is so full of energy, and they've got great scoring and Bryce Brown, and there's a couple other Philadelphia kids on the team, Horace Spencer and Brown, who are local kids. So it's going to be a great, a team that scores 80 to a team that can hold them to 60, which is Auburn will want to score 80, and Virginia will want to hold them to 60. That's a lot of fun. And then the other bracket, you've got just a phenomenal coach. And Chris Beard is the ideal grinder. If you want to talk about a guy who's grinded it out, 4 years ago he's coaching at a Division II school in Angelo State, and then takes over Arkansas Little Rock. He does a run there. He gets the opportunity to go out to UNLV. He's there for about a week. And ironically, this kind of ties into our guest tomorrow night. Because Tubby Smith was at Texas Tech, and he was doing a good job at Texas Tech. And the people at Memphis had kind of, run their fill. Memphis is a tough town, and Coach Patterson had a good run. But when Georgia Tech opens, they contacted Coach Pastner. He took the job at Georgia Tech. Memphis contacted Tubby Smith. Tubby Smith went to Memphis. Chris Beard was there at UNLV for, 5 minutes, 7 days.
Yeah.
He jumped and took the job at Texas Tech, and lo and behold, you got Chris Beard now in the Final Four, coaching against one of the guys who I think is one of the all-time great coaches. And I loved what happened, with his players because, that's Tom Izzo. He's real emotional. But his players never complained about it because he demands responsibility and respect, and he forces them to embrace it. And you didn't see one player get upset. They just said, Coach, we got this. This is us. Because Izzo is a very passionate guy, and I they say maybe that's not needed anymore, but there's a lot. Trust me, Coach K does that. A lot of the great coaches.
Draymond Green obviously is a big alum from Michigan State. He came out in support of Izzo in saying that if a coach ignores you and doesn't yell at you, then it means you're irrelevant. So the worst thing you could do is to not get yelled out and not be coached. And obviously you've coached for big, Division I college teams. And a lot of these guys need father figures. They need discipline. And certainly Izzo gives them that. And Draymond Green is certainly not a wallflower, but he certainly came out in favor of Izzo and his coaching tactics.
This is my favorite Final Four ever. This was one of my favorite Final Fours ever because other than Nova winning the championships, we've had teams like Connecticut, with Jim Calhoun and Kevin Ollie. And Kevin Ollie was a coach that barely was coaching any college basketball, so he really hasn't been through much adversity. But I think if Chris Beard wins this national championship, he will possibly surpass Jay Wright. I mean, I think Jay Wright has 2 national championships, but if I was starting a college basketball program, I think the best coach in the sport is Chris Beard. And for the next 25 years, he could be he's a Bobby Knight disciple. If he wins in Lubbock, Texas, you know how hard it is to win in Texas Tech? Texas Tech has no history at all. I think if he wins this year, he is already a top 10 coach in the history of college basketball. And I think if Chris Beard wins the championship this year, it might be one of the greatest accomplishments I've seen in my 24 years of living on this earth. I mean, I would just be blown away. Blown away. I think he's a top 5 coach already in the sport. But go ahead, Coach.
Spencer, you want another storyline? Let's not forget, a year ago, a 16 seed in UMBC knocked off Virginia. If Virginia comes back the following year and wins it, you know, where the storyline begins with them losing to being the only team to ever be eliminated by a 16 seed, and then them come back the following year.
And Coach, that would be
go back and win it.
You're absolutely right. And Gardner Webb was winning against them. And Tony Bennett said in his press conference, Tony Bennett to me, I'm not going to say he's a religious figure, but I think he's one of the nicest people on planet Earth, Coach Bennett. I think that he has a beautiful soul, and that's why, you know, players, they want to go for a father figure. They want their coach to be like a father figure, and that's what Tony Bennett is, and that's why Kyle Guy, you know, Mr. Indiana, Mr. Basketball in Indiana, he chose to go to Virginia over Tom Crean and over Purdue. And also Gardner Webb was beating Virginia, and then one of the craziest plays ever that I just showed to Bruce because he was out on Saturday night was that free throw that was missed. You're down 2. I loved how Matt Painter fouled, by the way. That was the right play. I love fouling. When you're up 3, you foul. They did the right thing. A freak play, and the ball gets tipped beyond half court. Tony Bennett doesn't call a timeout, and this freshman point guard that's like 5'9" makes the best pass I've maybe ever seen under that circumstance, Bruce. I mean, what did you think of that play?
Well, I look upon that as coaching. In other words, that's something I'm sure Coach Josh Stace, who's on the phone, and certainly, you know, the fact that was instinctive. The ball was tipped back. He made a perfect pass, and that guy had to go right up with the shot, nothing but net. And the chance of that happening, as I said, for the ball to carry him off the rim in exactly that way, I'd say that's a 10% chance for them to execute that play. But they did, and that's what makes college basketball, what makes March Madness so special and so magical.
I have to ask Coach these 2 questions. Coach, I have 2 questions for you. What did you think about Carson Edwards in this tournament? Was this the best performance you've ever seen in an NCAA tournament from a single player? And did you catch Carson Edwards smiling with the blonde-haired kid on Virginia who hit that shot? Did you see that sportsmanship in overtime? What do you think about Carson Edwards, Coach?
He's a phenomenal player. First of all, he probably played himself into a late first-round pick. He really did. He was phenomenal. You know what the best part about? You want to talk about sportsmanship? It goes across the board. The kid goes down at Auburn, all right? And he goes down hard, and he ends up tearing his ACL in the North Carolina game. Did you see every player from North Carolina pick him up and kind of and hug him as he was walking off the floor? When you cross the line for 40 minutes, you are a competitor, but you know what? You all fight for the same thing. Sportsmanship. Everyone talks about how negative certain things are. You know, with even baseball now. You know, with the taunting and everything else with going after Hoskins. There's been so much sportsmanship throughout this tournament. It can't be overlooked. And it goes to show that everybody wants it. Because trust me, at the end of the day, we're all fighting for the same thing, and we're all thrilled to be there. I say this often. I was very fortunate to be a part of 4 NCAA tournaments. I never got to the Final Four. I never even got out the first weekend. But you respected those guys. For 40 minutes, you hated them. But after the game, you all fighting for the same thing. It's the greatest. I was fortunate to be a part of 4 of them. And Carson Edwards, you know, absolutely. You know, no one likes to lose, but you just tip your cap, and you know what? You cheer for your competitor as he's walking off, and you congratulate them. That's what sportsmanship. That's what makes this tournament great. You've seen so much of it this year.
Carson Edwards was so special, and this is Coach Daesh. And Coach, we are going to finish up our show here, but tomorrow night, guys, Coach Daesh is going to be hosting our show tomorrow night.
Well, you'll be there, buddy.
It's been a while.
I'll be just following your lead.
Yep, that's it. It's been we've been preempted by Delaware Blue Coats basketball. So you talk about a humbling experience. Imagine we had our winter season cut out, but tomorrow we're going to be on
and
ESPN
Coach Josh,
from 7 to 8. We're going to be with Dr. Steve Lewis, Coach Josh Daesh, and Josh Pashner, coach of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, is going to be calling in, of course, with Mike Vito. And right now, Do I see tarp? What is that? That's not rain,
no. It looks like it's raining in D.C. I actually have a couple friends that are going down to the game tonight.
We have 2 monitors here, and obviously we're going to do a little bit of a watch party.
Right now, there's nothing but a Skittles tarp.
I love how it's
field.
a Skittles tarp too. That's hilarious.
Oh boy, that's anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting ready for Nationals Phillies.
But if this game starts at 10 p.m., if this game starts at 10, it'll be even more dramatic.
But I want to thank everybody. I want to thank our newest sponsor, Philadelphia PRP and Stem Cell Institute. As you can see, 610-222-5675. Anybody out there, weekend warriors, shoulder, knee, back pain, you don't want to get cut, you don't want surgery, you don't want dangerous drugs. So call operators on duty right now, 610-222-5675. Of course, we're Rover Sports. Spencer, we had a question from Lisa from Reading.
Yeah, let's talk about the Final Four.
That's exactly the question.
Good.
She wants to know your predictions for the weekend.
Well, first off, it's my favorite Final Four because, again, you don't have Blue Bloods, you don't have Kentucky, you don't have Duke basketball that's in the Final Four. So, again, it's the most likable group of coaches. We talked about Beard, Tom Izzo, Tony Bennett, and Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl, of course, a lot of people will say that he was involved in dirty, recruiting scandals. But when you listen to him in his interviews, he seems like a great family guy. The Auburn Tiger basketball family, it's so exciting for Auburn. They truly are an underdog in the SEC. They were one of the worst basketball jobs in the SEC. Toomer's Corner gets torpedoed with toilet paper. Absolutely spectacular. But what I'm going to say is I think Texas Tech is actually going to win this tournament. And the thing I like about Texas Tech, I talked about Chris Beard a lot on the show, is Texas Tech talks about how each tournament is a 4-game tournament. And that makes it very easy. So, Bruce, when you're playing in the first round, second round, it's a four team tournament, and you got to win the 4-team tournament. Then Texas Tech won another 4-team tournament, and now they only have one more. They're playing Michigan State. Michigan State has Cassius Winston, an unbelievable point guard, one of the smartest college point guards I've ever seen. Just a terrific passer. Reminds me a little bit of Greg Paulus at Duke, just how he can control the game, like Glasser at Arizona State. And this is a guy that can carry the ball up the floor. He is the most valuable player in this tournament so far. But I like Texas Tech's guards. I like Morelli. Matt Mooney is a guy who grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, went to Air Force, didn't really like Air Force's, it was a tough basketball place at Air Force. Nothing against the military for Mooney. And then he went to South Dakota, and he was very good for the University of South Dakota. And now Texas Tech picked up Matt Mooney, 6'3", one of my favorite guards in recent memory to watch is Matt Mooney. You also have Jarrett Culver inside. Jarrett Culver is a lottery pick, an alpha, a gym rat. Texas Tech is the best team left in this field. They are going to beat Michigan State by 8 to 10 points. Then you look at Auburn and Virginia. This is going to be a game that's going to come down to the wire because Virginia is not that great offensively. I mean, Kyle Guy can really play. Ty Jerome. These are guys that are very fundamental guys. They're slow guys. Me and you could probably lock up some of Virginia's guys. You've watched Virginia play. I mean, they're prodding. They're prodding guys. They're prodding. Like, they're not athletic freaks. Other than DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter actually went to Friend Central, which is the coolest thing. He could be a Kawhi Leonard.
You went to Friend Central, too.
I went to Friend Central for most of my school career. So I'm sorry to go on and on. I just love seeing Kentucky lose, Bruce. I love seeing Duke lose. This is my favorite Final Four because I really don't mind who wins this championship, Bruce, but I think it's going to be Texas Tech over Auburn. I think the Red Raiders beat Auburn on Monday to win. What do you think about this Final Four? What are your predictions?
Well, I have to say I've watched more Auburn basketball than I have the other schools. A guy named Akiki, who is, I guess he's a power forward, he went down with the gruesome ACL tear. And I think that sometimes when your best player goes down with injury, everybody rallies around. Bruce Pearl has brought his family in, and I personally really like him.
Yeah.
He's kind of a dancing bear. If you watch Bruce Pearl, he's on the sideline for Auburn. You also
he sweats like a madman.
I love Charles Barkley, one of my favorite people
ever.
And if you watch the halftime and postgame shows, Barkley has his own station with all the red and blue balloons. And Auburn's never won a national championship. For Charles, I'd like to see him get that opportunity.
Yeah.
You haven't spoken much about the Auburn Tigers. Why don't you give
and
us
also,
a little breakdown?
Did you? I don't know if you saw that pretty offensive Kentucky fraternity group that had the Okiki like on wheelchairs. Did you see that picture at all online?
I didn't see it. It's pretty tasteless though.
It was tasteless. But Okiki, a lot of people, he got wheeled in for the second half like he couldn't stay at the team hotel. I loved how he came and watched his team, and at least for that guy, Okiki, he got his team to the Final Four. He was the best player against Kansas and North Carolina. He's an absolute legend. I don't know if he's from Philadelphia or not, but Jared Harper, my favorite point guard maybe in the entire tournament. I know I talked about Matt Mooney. Jared Harper is absolute. I've never seen an athlete more confident in my life than Jared Harper. I think Jared Harper could go right now into war and could lead troops of ours, and we'd win wars with Jared Harper.
Jared Harper reminds me a little bit of Allen Iverson. He's got so much speed and so much confidence. He's not that tall. What do you say? He's 6'3"? How tall is the guy? He
plays he plays a little bit like Peyton Siva. He's a little more under control than Allen Iverson. He can finish like Allen Iverson, and he has the personality of Chris Kyle. He's an absolute killer on the floor.
What do you think about Iverson?
Stealth.
He's got the personality of Chris Kyle. He's fearless.
On the floor, you're absolutely right.
Other Auburn Tigers. Let's hear some other players.
Off the floor, AI is going to casinos and having fun, and that's why we love AI. But Jared Harper to me is the most. I think that he's the most inspirational player that I've seen in this tournament, because he went 11 for 11 at the line when you needed him the most. He hurt his back. It looked like he was almost going to break his back, like for some of the rebounds. He just wanted it so badly, and he's just such a good point guard. He'll never get the ball taken from you. Like, as a point guard, when you dribble the ball, when you have it in your hands and you have that trust, that's what matters. Bryce Brown is a great shooter. In the NBA, he's kind of almost like a Klay Thompson. He's a brilliant shooting guard, Bryce Brown. He averages 25 points a game. He's one of the most dangerous players in this tournament, and he's, I think, one of the best shooting guards in the country. He's such a great shooter from three, but he's also athletic enough to finish. He can catch fire. He's a great player, Bryce Brown.
Bryce Brown, in the last game, he was really cold in the first half. And what did he do? He came back. He had an enormous second half, maybe 15, very streaky. And
he's a tremendous player.
We talk about that. Some people just wither away under the pressure. But those two guys, Harper and Bryce Brown, that's, again, I've seen Auburn. That's a team I'm pulling for.
When North Carolina played Auburn, that was a perfect game for Auburn because they love playing fast, Bruce. The thing about Virginia that's so interesting is Virginia loves to hold the ball. They love to take their time on offense and play in the half court. They don't like to run. Auburn would like to play a team. I'll tell you who Auburn would like to play. They'd actually love to play a team like Duke that just runs in transition. They would love to play like a Michigan, like a beeline team. But when you play Tony Bennett, he's going to slow it down. It's going to be very similar to Kentucky. Virginia is not going to be up on Auburn that much, but Virginia is going to slow the game down. The possessions are going to be slower. And that's why Virginia, Bruce, has a great chance to win, because they don't turn it over. They don't beat themselves, Bruce. And you have Ty Jerome. Have you watched Kyle Guy at all and Ty Jerome?
Yes, I have. I've seen mostly highlights because we've been traveling a lot. So I don't pretend to have seen a lot of Michigan State.
They're shooters.
We saw Michigan State in person against LSU. They totally destroyed them. And LSU just, they just didn't even play. They looked like a high school team. When you look
at Michigan State, though, I mean, even watching them versus Duke, you have McQuaid, who's a great college player, but you really have no NBA talent on that team, and that's what's so fun about Michigan State is they're just like a hodgepodge group of guys. It's like just tremendous. Texas Tech's more talented than Michigan State, but Tom Izzo's the favorite right now to win this whole dang tournament. I still think
as far as the betting, could you give us some sense for the betting odds?
I think it's Michigan State and Virginia, with Michigan State or Virginia winning. But I actually have the opposite in the final.
Just giving everybody an update. It looks like we're on a rain delay here in Washington. Nationals against, of course, the Phillies. I personally, Al thought that he's predicting they're not going to boo a lot. I think they're going to boo a ton. I think they got jilted. again, the ownership is the one they should blame. But I remember when Jason Worth left the Phillies to take a huge contract. When he came back to Philly, even though he was a World Series winner, they booed the hell out of him.
Jason Worth?
That's two different fan bases. I don't think you have an educated baseball fan base in Washington. I'm sure we get a lot of boos right now for saying
but
that.
Don't you think they know? But don't you think they know that they lost Bryce Harper?
I can't.
I think they have to know that.
I've never seen a Washington.
Do you boo your car if you lose your keys?
I don't. But I'm saying though,
I've never
it's
seen
not your car's fault. You lost your keys. That's how I look at it.
I guess you're right.
When's the last time Washington has had a nasty fan base? Like when's the last time they nasty?
Maybe the Redskins. I mean, I have to say,
like a player was booed.
Let me say this.
Let
me say about Washington. Redskins have a great fan base. It seems the baseball team, it's almost like a transient fan base. They're not all from Washington, and so I agree with Al. It's almost like Miami. Like Miami has no fan base at all. Miami Marlins, no fan base.
No.
So Washington is a fair weather baseball fan base.
It's a hockey town.
But I think they're going to boo. I think they're going to boo loud.
Good.
I think they're going to boo loud. We're going to find out.
Well, Al, I wanted to ask you this question. Me and Bruce were talking late last night, and I was telling Bruce that I think Harper, ironically, is an LA personality living in Philadelphia. Like, I think Harper's too flashy to be your traditional Philadelphia star.
What I've been following is, and it's funny because they were actually talking to Scherzer. I think they interviewed him yesterday, and they played it a few times throughout the day here in Philly Sports Radio. Is that they were saying that when he played there, Harper didn't like being part of the mainstream. I think Harper just didn't have a great fit when he was in Washington. He's here now.
I heard no high fives with the players there.
And now you look at him. He has a special high five or something for
each player. He's got a customized celebration for each player.
So he's happy to be here. I think he doesn't mind playing the bad guy when he has to play the bad guy. But I'm telling you right now, see, he went out, and you guys saw it. He went out in the outfield. He's throwing his hat in the air. He's high-fiving.
He's bowing to the fans. He's playing to the audience. And I think, he is so what Spencer's saying is
he's a
handsome guy. He's a good-looking guy. He's flashy. You're saying that he's not a gritty standard Philly.
Bruce,
we like guys that are
Bruce, like
John Kruk.
Like
he's not John Kruk.
I know that, but when he did the hair flip in the home run derby last year, that it just like when I look at the Philadelphia athletes, like even AI or Dawkins, those guys are. Philadelphia is a town of underdogs. Bryce Harper to me is completely he's an elitist. He's always been. I'm not saying like his upbringing or everything. I'm saying Bryce Harper is always. He's the 5-star, and Bryce Harper is a pretty boy. He's a pretty boy in Philadelphia. It doesn't. You know what I mean?
But he's committed to this town for 13 years.
I love it, but it's a different style of athlete. It's a different style.
That's where it changed. You hit it right on the nose there. That's where anybody's perception about Bryce Harper has completely changed. Because, unfortunately, you have to go with what major media tells you. Oh, he wants an opt-out after 3 years. Oh, he wants this. He wants that. He's not coming here for this, that, and the other. Listen, when you're the best of the best, you can demand high money. You can demand what you want. He said he didn't want to leave here. He didn't want the option to walk out of here. He wants to be rooted here in Philly, and he won this fan base over since that. Coming out to the Fresh Prince's theme song, wearing the Fanatic shoes. He comes into Citizens Bank Park wearing a black T-shirt with Gritty and the Fanatic on it. The man, even if he's playing it up, he's done it right. He's got the best publicist in the world, and he's hitting all the right numbers. I'm not worried about, like, here's my thing is a star can get lost in Hollywood. I'll turn it around. Let's talk about LeBron.
Yeah.
First time he's not going to the playoffs since he started in this league how many years ago?
Yeah.
He went to LA because he didn't care about being a competitor anymore. He didn't care. He's worried about making Space Jam 2, and he's worried about what's going to happen after his career in basketball.
Right.
And he learned this year that he's not good enough to take a bunch of nobodies on his back and run the gamut. He can't do it anymore. He doesn't have it in him. And Harper is the first big name out there, not the first, but the big name out there in a long time who has come out and said, you know what? I want to win, and I know I can win in Philly. And like you see with Nick Foles. Nick Foles doesn't ever have to buy another beer in Philadelphia again. He don't have to do anything. He can come and kiss your girlfriend, and you will allow it and slap him on the ass on the way out for doing it. Because that's the kind of guy that's the way we treat our stars who do well for us.
Right.
And like I said, with baseball, the problem with baseball is, especially for the casual fans, baseball's a game of up and downs. There's a lot of strategy that goes into the game of baseball. And like I said, the best players in the world, they bat 35% for their career. That's
a Hall of Famer.
It's a game of failure. It's a game of patience and failure.
So a Hall of Famer to get 3 out of 10, you're a Hall of Famer.
Right.
But
we always talk about that. If you go to a club, you go 2 out of 10 with women, you're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
They're 3 out of 10.
What I would say is that what I feel is the energy in this town.
Yes.
So Bryce Harper,
palpable.
Whether he gets no hits in the game, the fact is he's a lightning rod. People go to the Citizens Bank. It's a great place to watch a game. Beautiful place. We sat at the last seat in the stadium. I had a perfect view. Great food there.
Great food.
And you're right in that complex. It's really exciting to be in Philadelphia.
Hitters Park too, entertaining. You see home runs like if you catch if you hit a line drive to left, it could be gone. It could be a home run.
I remember when they first announced McCutchen being signed. I think it was like $50 million over 4 or 5 years, whatever it is for him. And they were all upset. Here's McCutchen because they thought he was past his prime.
Right.
Ever since he hit that first home run, first up to the plate, have you heard anything about McCutchen? No. That's
everything.
Point.
I've heard good things. I've heard things.
In the second home run too.
That's my point.
It's a short season so far.
This is what makes this great. You said you were looking for like 25 home runs a year, batting at 270, 275,
35,
which is not bad. I think you're going to get better. I mean, right now our best hitter is Franco, and he's at 444 or something like that.
I have low expectations.
And Franco's in the 8th hole. People said he can't hit in the 8th hole because they pitch around him to get.
Well, the Braves were stupid. The Braves
to the pitcher.
The Braves were pretty stupid pitching to him after the first time, the second time, and the third time. They were pretty stupid.
Right.
And he's not going to see that production because, like you said, Doc, they're going to pitch around him and get to the pitcher.
They're going to get to the pitcher, but again, the Braves weren't that smart.
Yeah.
Well, the reason
they picked up where they left off
the reason why
year.
I'm so excited about this season, and I know that this is just my opinion. It could be as ridiculous as it sounds. I want to see how long this win streak can be. I love having the 0 in the loss column. Like, it's exciting to see how long.
The only team in baseball, might I add, with no.
I want to see how long this streak can be. And what is the record for the? Did the Mariners win like 105? This team can maybe win 110 baseball games. I think this team is incredible now.
Think you're getting ahead of yourself.
The pitching staff. I'm not. This is the most dangerous lineup in baseball right now.
You're correct. It is probably one of the most dangerous.
So great. Do you see how good JT Realmuto is? I mean, he's a great defensive player. How good was the patience of Gabe Kepler and the team? The patience at the plate is unbelievable, and we are going to get like a John Lester. That's what you do in baseball. When the trade deadline happens in the middle of the summer, we're going to get another great pitcher.
Bumgarner. I think Bumgarner.
Oh my gosh! Is that the guy from the Giants?
He's great.
Oh, he's one of the best pitchers ever of all time.
Well,
I mean,
I believe they still.
He is. He won the World Series like 3 times.
I believe they do need starting pitching. That's
why I was
Pivetta obviously didn't pitch very well.
No.
That's why you might see
poorly.
Kegel over
Robertson is shaky so far. The bullpen.
Well, Robertson, he's a veteran reliever.
Let's be honest,
He'll get back.
The pitching has taken a back seat right now to the hitting, and even the starting pitching hasn't been that great. I'm not saying they've been bad, but they haven't been lights out in any way.
Well, Arrieta looks
listen, and also
pretty
it's
good.
the first 3 games. Let him work out the rust a little bit.
Right, Arrieta.
Arrieta looks good. His stuff looks good.
Arrieta ran out of gas last year, the last 3 months. Started off great. He's an older guy. Is he going to make it through the dog days? I do believe they need another starting pitcher.
I think that this lineup, though, I mean, you have Franco batting 8th. There's no drop-off in excitement. And when Bryce Harper's at bat, I'll stop everything I'm doing to check out the at-bat because you could see him hit a home run anytime. His swing is the sweetest swing I've seen in quite a long time.
It's also a violent swing. Not only is it a sweet swing, the difference between him and Hoskins.
It's a two-handed swing, Bryce Harper.
Hoskins is a very rhythmic swing.
Yes.
Okay? He's like Ernie Els. Doesn't look like he's hitting the ball hard. Hoskins is a big man. He basically lifts up his foot, he drops his foot, and times it, and can hit a home run.
Yes.
But you look at Harper, and that's one issue that you hear about in Philly Sports Radio. He's got a violent swing. Now, again, he's going to be here for 13 years. He's 26 years old. Is that swing going to hold up? Is his body going to hold up? You know, Do you remember the freak in San Francisco? He had a violent pitching
Lincecum.
style. Now, again, obviously, Bryce is
Yes.
a thin guy, but what is he, 6'1", maybe? 6 foot? Not that much bigger.
This is an unpopular,
180 pounds soaking wet.
an unpopular
Is he going to
opinion.
last 13 years with
I
that violent
I
swing?
like Cesar Hernandez. I like his style of hitting, just like hitting the ball.
Crazy.
Jetting. No,
What,
he
not?
is very short. You know, he has a short
Oh, so
swing.
Cesar, I'm
short.
thinking about
Chase
McCall.
Utley had the sweetest
Well,
swing
you have
ever.
that
Chase
short
Utley.
inside compact swing.
I love Chase Utley.
You could, with a little bit less. I kind of. It's funny because they wore the same number. Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence is a guy who
He
had
had the
that
craziest swing.
He also chokes very high up with the bat. which
Hunter
is allowed-
Pence, yeah.
Is
That guy
Hunter
was
Pence?
awkward
Is
as
he
hell.
the most? Is he like the one athlete who you think is on speed at all time? I don't think that guy ever blinked in 5 years. Hunter Pence. I've never seen an athlete look as
Well, you know
bugged
what?
out
I'd say
as Hunter
when
Pence.
he came here, it was a big deal. And he helped the team.
Oh, he was fun.
Yeah,
He went back to San Fran and he won a couple. At least won that championship, the World Championship.
It's amazing how the Phillies can just buy these players, and now the Phillies are in unbelievable position to win. You see Harper with
But
Chris
here's
Middleton.
my thing: is if you look at it from a financial standpoint, Harper isn't as expensive as you think. It's $26 million. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. But in the long run, you were expecting like 40, 50 million easily a year. On top of it, you still got Real Muto on his rookie deal, who's still
Segura.
You had to
look
give
at
up your
Segura.
number one prospect, but we don't know what Sixto is going to be or will be. He could be great. He could be nothing. I'd rather take the best catcher in baseball, the most athletic catcher in baseball, and the best hitting catcher in baseball over a possibility of Sixto being a good pitcher.
How about that Cole Hamels deal? None of those guys worked out at all.
Wow.
No, yeah, it's a freaking it's a
But
crapshoot
I
in the
think
minor
Segura
leagues.
is great to have a very good, solid fielding shortstop who's a
Yes.
300 hitter. You need him protecting Harper. So you start with McCutcheon, Segura, Harper, Hoskins.
By the way-
and then Real Muto. That's five
By
guys.
the way, Mike Trout already bested Harper, I'm sure, by much more money. Well, Trout is an amazing
Well,
player.
$430
and
million
and then
almost.
how about this 21-year-old who could barely drink in Atlanta, Acuna? He got like 8 years today. Record deal.
Oh, I didn't see that. So that was
Record
today's
deal.
news. Acuna
Record
Jr.
deal.
Acuna Jr.
They're signing him
The
early.
guy wearing the face mask.
Oh my
Did
God!
you see that guy? Have you ever seen somebody wear a face mask at the plate?
Yeah.
That was just a little different.
You can't see the eyes, so we
He's
got-
a young guy. I mean, he's what, 20?
He's 21 years old.
Yeah.
He got $8 million.
Yeah, I'm ready to go rapid fire here. We talked Phillies. How many? We got 10 minutes, 20 minutes left.
A little less.
Much less actually.
You got less.
We got
5 minutes.
5 minutes left. That's my point. Zion Williamson or R.J. Barrett, who has a better pro career?
I'm going to go for Zion Williamson, and I'll tell you why. I believe Zion will be like my favorite player, Charles Barkley, a little bigger, a little quicker, not as nobody has as much heart as Barkley. But Zion is fun. He's a good personality.
Great guy.
He's unfortunately going to go to my least favorite team. I think the New York Knicks have been tanking for him, and if I've always given away my Sixers Knicks tickets, you can't give them away to anybody. But if they get Durant, Max Steele, and Zion Williamson, I'm going to watch those Sixers Knicks game. And as much as I hate the Celtics, when the Celtics were bad, it wasn't as much fun. Now that the Celtics are good, Lakers are. We thought they'd be good. I like watching that Celtics-Sixers rivalry.
Kyrie Irving has almost ruined the Celtics, but I'm actually going to take R.J. Barrett because I know what R.J. Barrett is. To me, I'm not saying he's going to be Kobe Bryant, but he plays a little bit like James Harden, and the guy I think is just one of the most consistent guards. He's the closer at the end of the game. I've seen 6'5" players be great at the NBA level. R.J. Barrett's a guaranteed lock to be very good. Zion Williamson, Bruce, is 6'8". You saw Doug McDermott. He was a post. What great post player at 6'8" has dominated the NBA? You're going up against 7-footers like Embiid, like the Greek Freak. Zion Williamson's going to get blocked because his arm length is not that long as 7-foot guys.
I can think of a guy. I think of two guys.
Who's a 6'8" guy that's tremendous?
Okay, I'm going to talk about Zach Randolph, Zebo, for a moment.
He played in the past.
But just listen. But look at his game. He can't jump.
Right.
He's got great feet and great hands. That's the thing about Zion. He's got great feet and great hands. He's strong. I mean, he doesn't need to put on any weight. He's got an NBA body right now. How about Cam Reddish?
He
How
doesn't.
about the Philly guy?
As long
Cam
as
Reddish can shoot.
Zion's jump shot is also not that good. Zion's a little bit risky.
He's only how old is Zion?
But he relies on being more athletic than other guys. I mean, what happens when he's playing with the same level of athlete?
I think there's something freakish. He could catch the ball above the backboard and jam it. Mm-hmm. He's a freakish athlete. I think they're both could be very good.
I hope Zion.
I think so. The only thing that worries me with Zion is a little bit. It seemed like he was never there when you needed him. Like I want to say he shied away from the most important parts of the game, but I kind of felt like
he disappeared a
little bit, and that's where if I had to pick a side, I would pick away from Zion because if you're doing that now, what's going to happen when you're in the NBA?
Well, do you like the lefty Barrett?
I do, and they both have potential to be really just all-around great basketball players.
Yeah.
My point is with Zion, that's what scares me. Where were you when we needed you? And a guy like that in the NBA, you can't get away with that. You can't hide in the crowd.
Well, Zion's going to have to play defense. I'm fascinated to see if Zion can hold up over the test of time. I believe, though, his floor is low because he's 6'8". He's not a great shooter. The prototype is not really 6'8" guys. I mean, Zion's a freak athlete. You hope he doesn't get injured with the way that he plays.
Not a great shooter. He'll be on the Sixers.
I don't want Bo Jackson.
Let's talk
I don't want Bo Jackson. How about go ahead. Rapid fire.
Let's do the Final Four. Let's go around the horn predictions. Take a game by game.
I gave you I think that
a lot of people are tuning in late right now.
I think
last 3 minutes.
Right. I think Auburn's going to win over Virginia. Who do you think's going to win, Bruce? Auburn or Virginia?
Unfortunately, I'm picking Virginia to win that game. I think they're just too disciplined.
Okay.
Auburn with Okeke out, I think the run ends, and I'm picking Virginia to go to the national championship. Al, do you have any thoughts on the game?
I'm kind of in the same boat with you. That's what kind of swayed me. You miss a key piece, you kind of have to swing toward Virginia. I would like to see Auburn win. First time that they make it this far in the NCAA tournament. That would make a great Cinderella story. But my mind says one, my heart says another. Exactly. But I'm going with what my mind says.
Michigan State Tech, call the game. What do you see?
Tech confidently wins. They're just a better team, better talent on that basketball team.
No, I trust Coach Josh Stacey, who was just on earlier in our show. He believes Tech is the most talented team. He's predicting that, and I'm going with it. And to see Tech go, and especially with our guy Cyprian.
Glenn Cyprian.
Cyprian is a guy who was on Rover Sports last year.
And
at the end, if he wins the national championship and calls it a Rover Sports, he would immediately jump to our number one best caller.
Number one best guest. Tomorrow we have Josh Pashner on the show.
He'll probably be number one.
Al, this is the question that I've waited the whole show to ask, and you're going to love this one. Do you think who likes Eli Manning more, Giants fans or Eagles fans?
Who likes?
Right now, who is a bigger supporter of Eli Manning? Because I think the New York Giants.
It's a trick question.
I think the New York Giants fans.
I think the Eagles fans.
As a lifelong Giants fan, it's very hard for me to get along with other Giants fans because they love Odell Beckham, and I think Eli Manning is disrespected in New York. And I really
I'll answer
do.
that. I think as an Eagles fan, I feel that Eli Manning has. You talk about having a ceiling. I think that he will. He has a ceiling. They're not going to win more than half the games. And I also think the Redskins are a dead team. So it's really, as long as Eli's starting, I think it's between the Cowboys and the Eagles, and it makes it a lot easier to have a two-team division.
I think that it's a lot.
Are you happy to see Eli playing for the Giants?
Yeah. I'm happy to see Dan Snyder run the Skins because he's an idiot. I'm happy to see anybody who's going to make another team look bad in my division do well, and Eli's the man for the job right now. What he's going to do is he's going to get some garbage wins at the end of the season. They're going to be absolutely nothing. Maybe help us win if they win against the Cowboys or the Redskins to keep the division behind us.
Giants are going to be a big threat to the Eagles this year.
I say they'll be a third. Honestly, I think they'll be a fourth in the division.
The Giants shouldn't even draft
do better than them.
That would be absurdly disappointing.
I think the Redskins
the Giants have a great offensive line, very good defense. The thing is about I hope that if the Giants draft a quarterback, I think it would be really dumb to draft a quarterback because then you're admitting that you're tanking this year. And the Giants need to draft defense and wide receivers so that they can compete this year.
Are they drafting Haskins is probably who they're going to be drafting.
Haskins
I know that you have mixed feelings about that, right?
That's a terrible decision because you're going with Eli Manning. And Haskins has only played 1 year of collegiate football. He's only been on campus for like 2 years. He's a big, oversized quarterback, not a great athlete, easy conference, easy division. You have no idea about the guy at all. And also, if you draft Dwayne Haskins, you're pretty much telling Eli Manning that this team isn't that good. And I don't even know why the Giants would draft Haskins and would keep Eli Manning. You're drafting Haskins at number 6. You need a pass rusher. Giants need pass rushers, Bruce. If they don't get pass rushers, they'll never win championships. But anyway, that's Rover Sports.
And you keep saying Haskins. I thought I was watching Sunday Night Baseball with A-Rod again. He kept calling Haskins Haskins.
That's right.
What did he call him?
That was torturous, by the way.
What did he call him?
They called him he kept calling him Haskins.
But I think A-Rod's good.
I think he's terrible.
I got to tell you something.
Garbage.
What do you think about A-Rod? Good or bad?
I'm going to mention one thing that I listened from our friend Howard, Big E Eskin. Something really funny. J-Lo had her own security force in the press box in the Phillies. Eskin said since he's been following the Phillies, nobody needed their own security detail, and it shows you how ego-driven A-Rod and J-Lo are. I'm personally not fans.
Did you hear?
I'm not fans of either of them.
Did you hear Jose Canseco is mixing into that marriage already?
Oh, jeez.
No, I don't think we're going to talk about that. Looks like we're running out of time.
It was a fun show. I want to thank Al. I want to thank Bruce the Sports Doc. We always are going to do Philly angle sports on this show. We also talked college basketball. It was such a tremendous Elite Eight. One of my favorite Elite Eights ever. After so much chalk early in the tournament, as Al and Bruce alluded to, we finally got an absolute gift. I know you guys are commenting in the comment section. Even though I'm doing the show, a little hard to see the comment section. I want to thank you guys for, of course, tuning into the show. We will be back tomorrow evening. And thank you guys for tuning in.
Again, tomorrow will be on ESPN, as usual, 6:10, ESPN here in Philly. I want to thank everybody. I know you guys have been patient on my Facebook page because you haven't heard the callers. But I want to wish everybody good night and good sports.